There are some people who associate e-bikes with a lowering of fitness, but that is simply not true. Of course, there are many reasons why you would ride a mountain bike, maybe for technical reasons, for fitness reasons, or simply to lose some weight. And today, I'm with Alan, and we're going to look at a fat burning workout on e-bikes. So today we are joined by Alan Milway, who is a professional mountain bike coach. He's coached many of the stars, such as Danny Hart, Rachel Atherton. Alan, can an e-bike be a more effective tool at fat burning than a conventional mountain bike?
Yeah, I really think it can. In certain circumstances, and especially off-road, these have got a great place. So before we start, Steve, why do you want to lose some weight?
Selfish reasons, actually, Al. More to do with greed. I want more of my battery.
Yeah.
And I want to tackle more technical climbs, and I think with a bit of weight loss, that's going to help me do that.
Better power to weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, what is fat burning? What is a fat burning workout? I've seen stories about you need to go slow. Do I need to go slow?
Okay, so there's two sides to it. The first is understanding how we actually use fat as a fuel. Fat is really efficient fuel source, but it doesn't get burnt very quickly. It's quite hard to metabolize it. If you think of a candle, you can light a candle and leave it to burn for ages, so it's really efficient, but it's not very bright.
So are you telling me then I could actually do a fat burning ride on an e-bike, but it would take me days and days and days?
Well, this is where the e-bikes come in, because really what I'm trying to say is that we're trying to limit that energy expenditure if we want to target fat as a fuel. Right. So we want to be, if you want to get into the numbers of it, probably around between 60 and 70% of your maximum heart rate.
What?
Now,
sorry, you're telling me that I need to put a lot of effort into a fat burning ride then?
Well, that's not a lot of effort. For you, we know that it's about 140 beats a minute or maybe a bit less. So when you put it into that, that's not that hard. Right. And that's part of the problem. Everyone normally goes too hard. And this is where these puppies come in, because if you're off-road, trying to go up some hills and have fun with your friends, quite often we go into this, I wouldn't say red zone, but we're not targeting fat as a fuel. Right. And that's when you can get into a no man's land of trying to target one thing but not actually do it. And with an e-bike, we can actually decide how hard we want to go up that hill. As we know, we can decide, right, we're going to take it easy, put it on boost or trail and just cruise up.
Right, so Al, the first ride we're going to do is relatively low intensity, like you said, about 60 to 70% of my maximum heart rate. And that doesn't mean to say we're going to be plodding around fire roads. We can do that on technical terrain, because as you said, we can keep our heart rate down by using the different modes on the bike and whatnot. But there'll be a second ride as well that we need to do, okay?
Yeah, so the second ride is essentially trying to burn more calories in that ride. And this is where you need to understand that for most people to lose weight, we need to burn more calories than we're taking in. Okay, so if people are in the cafe and they're having an energy drink and a Mars bar before they go out, they've got to do a lot of work just to burn that off to start with. Yeah. So what this next level of ride is actually relatively high intensity, and with these bikes we can have quite a lot of fun with that. We can let the recovery happen on the uphill, and on a normal bike that can't happen. Right.
But we could be doing a crazy steep hill climb where we're getting into those high calorie burn levels, right?
Yeah, exactly that. We can dictate what we want to do.
You know, an e-bike can take you to those places which you might not actually be able to get to on a conventional mountain bike. Fat burning ride number one. What are we going to do? Talk us through the intensity, the duration, the type of trail we might be riding. Give us an example.
So these rides, they should feel nice and easy. Okay, that's the first thing to say. You should be able to have a conversation with your friend. You shouldn't feel like the next day you've woken up and you've got really sore legs. You should feel like you could go for probably 2 hours or more if you had the time to do that. Right. Okay, so they're nice and steady. And in terms of the terrain, we're quite lucky with these bikes because we don't have to keep the gradient flat or easy or anything, but we do need to keep that heart rate down and within this sort of fat burning zone.
Right, so to keep your heart rate down, we should be looking at things like maybe using a heart rate monitor, right? Or alternatively, it's very simply, you just go through the modes on your bike. You got eco, trail and turbo, right? Yeah, exactly. So if you're feeling it, you're puffing too much, knock it up into trail or turbo, is that right?
Yeah, keep it up in trail or turbo. Cadence is a really good guide. You want the cadence to be quite high so it feels nice and easy. It's not too much low through the legs.
When you say low cadence, what do you mean by, that's how much you spin the pedals,
exactly,
right?
So the speed at which you're turning the pedals, you want that to be relatively high.
Give me an example.
So for example, probably 90 RPM.
Right, okay. And on some e-bikes, there are displays which actually show your cadence, your RPM on the bike, right?
Yeah, so it's a really handy tool. And again, in terms of heart rate, it does vary from person to person, but generally you're talking about between 60 and 70% of your maximum.
Right.
But as a guide, on a scale of 1 to 10, if I ask you how it's feeling, it shouldn't feel any harder than a 6 out of 10.
Okay, so we're basically going to do an hour loop where we're chatting all the way around.
Having a good time.
Great. Hey, come on, Al, keep your heart rate down on this one.
Steady.
Huh? Oh my God, that's so easy. Wow, Al, this is pretty technical. I think on a conventional bike, we'd be puffing up here, right?
We would, and we wouldn't be going half this speed either, would we?
But we're keeping it in the right zone, right?
Yeah, exactly that. We're keeping it nice and easy and having a good time while we're doing it.
Well, training regime number 1, I felt that was great. You know what? I can go out and do 10 of those every week, easy.
And that's the point, is you can build this volume. These aren't the sessions that you want to do once a week and then forget about it and think you've done some training. These are the ones that you should be able to do more regularly, and hopefully that will lead you into routine.
When you say regularly, how often a week do you think you should be doing a ride like that?
I think you should be able to do this 4 or 5 times a week. But to start with, don't get too carried away. Try and do 2-3 times, get into rhythm.
But you know, why wouldn't you? I find on an e-bike, I'm riding all the time anyway.
I know, mate. It gets you away from real life.
Right. Ride number 2, this is a different proposition, right? And this is where I see I go through the internet, I see some conflicting ideas on what a fat burning ride is. Now, we've done the first ride. Second ride is quite different, right?
It is. The first ride that we've just discussed is what you would call a true fat burning ride. Okay, so if anyone's referencing fat burning, that targets the fat as a fuel. This ride is targeting generally the reason why people are overweight. And it'll help you lose your weight.
Yeah, and this is the reason why people are not going to have range on their batteries,
absolutely. Right? You can only go 45 minutes because you're 16 stones worth of ride to go through. Really, what we're looking to do is burn calories, okay? So at the end of the day, we've got a calorie deficit. And the way to do that is to increase the intensity of the ride. Right. Okay, so that's what we're going to do.
How intense, Al?
It should be repeatable, but it shouldn't feel too comfortable.
Or twice?
Let's aim for 4.
Right, so 4 what? 4 what?
4 intervals. So what we're looking to do to start with is we're going to do a block of 4, up to 1 minute.
Right,
okay. And we're going to give ourselves probably 2 to 3 minutes to recover between.
Yeah. Now, do you know what I'm thinking? Is that I'm thinking hill climb here.
Absolutely.
Because A, we can manage the intensity. B, it's probably long enough. And C, I don't know what C is yet, but let's go and find out. Al, I'm happy with this. It's a medium-ish hill climb. I've pushed up and down it a zillion times.
Yeah, I think the difference, Steve, this time is we're going to put quite a lot of effort into this one.
Really? What kind of effort?
Well, the aim is we're trying to consider this hill as almost our racetrack, and the top of it is our finish line. So don't leave too much in the tank.
Are we talking heart rate monitors then?
Heart rate monitors are ideal.
Yeah.
You're stressing me out at the moment. I'm at about 56 according to this. So it will probably be about 100 beats higher than that.
If you haven't got a heart rate monitor, what are we looking at?
You're looking at 7 to 8 out of 10.
No, but how am I going to be feeling?
Right, well.
Am I going to be talking to you?
No. No time for chat.
Al, how's this for pace?
Come on, Josie, you've got to be kidding me. Come on, step it up,
This feels good.
Let's go. That's better. Come on, Josie, keep going, mate.
What, are you serious?
Come on, push on now.
Al, I'm turbo, man.
That's it, doesn't matter if
Come on,
you're
I'm turbo.
We've got 25k an hour we can sit at. We're only doing 20.
We're not going to get a 25k.
Yeah, come on, mate. Come on, here we go.
Oh, why is my heart rate going up? What's going on there?
Well, basically you're in O2 deficit, so you've done a hard interval.
O2 deficit?
Yeah, so it's like if you imagine you've done something really hard for a relatively short period of time.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to get our breath back. Heart rate staying up to flush while lactate.
So was I doing the right thing then?
You're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Good lad.
Ooh, Al, that was pretty cool in a savage kind of way. How many of those should I be doing up and down the hill?
So if we look at it, you probably want to try and get a block of 4 in.
4 of those.
Then give yourself a good break, and if you're motivated, try that once more.
I'm motivated. Yeah. I love it.
And the cool thing is, we've got this as the climb, and we can find a nice downhill. So we can recover on the way back down, and then do it again.
How many times a week on an interval like that?
I don't think you need to do anything any more than twice a week, really.
Okay.
The difficult thing, if you do it more than that, is you'll have a good week and then a bad week. You'll be too tired.
But look, when you got an e-bike and you're sessioning downhill tracks, I mean,
what way to
you're going to be struggling to keep it within 2 times a week, right?
Well, this is it. This is it. They're so much fun that you can turn what has traditionally been a boring slog
exactly
into something a lot more.
Yeah, and so this whole thing about e-bikes equals a lowering of fitness levels is quite untrue, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But Al, very key thing which everyone needs to be aware of is you still need to manage the intake, the inputs versus the outputs, right? You got the cakes, the booze and the burgers. I mean, doing all this isn't going to count for much if you're still piling that stuff into you, right?
Yeah, exactly. The fuel is the key thing. You can't fuel yourself on rubbish.
Yeah.
And I think that once you start to actually look at what you're eating during the day, and even just take it down in note form on your phone, you'll soon realise where you're going wrong.
Because it's pointless having all this training without looking after your lifestyle, right?
100%.
Al, thanks for joining us today. Can't wait to do the next one, which is going to be performance riding.
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up to this video. If you want to see more videos, there's a great one on e-bike versus uplift down here. More general video, which myself and Alan did on training. Find that down there. Don't forget to subscribe to EMBN, it'd be great.